And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
The ending is dumb. I did not believe that one little bit. In fact, I nearly walked out. Is this what I waited 2 hours to see? Come on.
Well, if it was the end of the film, it would have been appropriate for you to walk out after that because it was the end of the movie.
I fucking hate you, Shaun.
Nicely done, Shaun. Nicely done. I always thought it was earlier there.
Sorry, what were you interrupting me with?
Is toplessness
Wait,
legal
Shaun
here?
plugs in his earphones
Topless
so that we're
and?
not getting the echo.
Toplessness, women.
What
bare
about it?
breasts. Is it legal here?
Oh, it is at my house, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's generally approved of, but not too many people take us up on
I haven't seen anyone being arrested in Salt Hill.
General
actually.
will allow it anyway. Sorry, I'm delaying our start. Hold on.
No, it's important. We're talking about nakedness
just
in
needed
Ireland.
to
Yeah,
know.
you're right. Decency laws. Yeah,
You know,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
important.
Before you whip them out. Going down to super value. Don't mind me.
I just can't podcast with my top on anymore. I find it such a hindrance.
Oh, yeah. Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle? Season 10, Episode 15, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me a man who says duct tape can't fix stupid, but it can muffle the sound. It's Mike McDonough. Also beside me I have a lady who says she likes going into McDonald's and ordering an Egg McMuffin and a McChicken, just see which comes first. It's Shauna, I love Canada, O'Flaherty. Live from Vegas, we have a man who gets his hair cut twice a week just so he can wear a cape. It's Shaun Leonard. And in the red corner, it's our cuddly killer. A man whose dog acts like his entire family was murdered by a vacuum cleaner. It's Mark, superhero, Leonard. This week, we'll be discussing some movies, or a movie in the shape of Midnight Special, and some TV in the form of Blue Eyes and Wynonna Earp.
Wynonna.
Sorry. Oh, I have misspelled it.
It's like no, you didn't.
Oh, hell no.
Of course, I'll have some of the usuals with the news and some previews and come to a bicycle near you. How are we doing?
Speaking of dogs,
Oh, are we?
so I've known for some time now that my dog Neo needed company. But it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago that I decided I would actually try and find him a soulmate.
Oh, yeah.
A non-sexual soulmate, because he is no longer capable of said acts. Sorry, Neo.
That was a really bad accident, actually, I heard.
It's a really bad accident at the vet's under anaesthetic. But
Be too careful with
so
lawnmowers.
I know.
I mentioned it to my dog minder, whose favorite pastime is dog shopping. So she has been barraging me with rescue dog after rescue dog, and I have been dutifully applying for all of them, been turned down and turned down and turned down. And then last week there seemed to be some light at the end of the tunnel when I applied for what is it when you adopt someone?
Custody, guardianship.
Adoption?
Ownership.
I don't think of it like ownership or guardianship. I like guardianship. Let's go with that.
Roommateship.
Yeah, I applied to share my life with another and Neo's life with a new dog, right? And it was the most gorgeous Chihuahua King Charles Cavalier cross. So gorgeous, like there'd be a real risk to its welfare that I would hug it too much. And there was two girls. I said like I don't mind. They're both gorgeous. Like either one would be great. And things were proceeding at pace. And then today I found out that the owner of the dogs has decided to no longer put them up for adoption.
No. That's always a risk with adoption, that they'll change their minds.
It's good, though. They should
Apparently
stay with
so.
the real family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the gym at the weekend.
Fair play to you.
And it's going to take me a while to get the story out now because it upset me greatly.
Okay.
But I was in the gym doing my thing, lifting heavy things, putting them down, lifting them up again, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a guy came in that I know, and we acknowledged each other, but I was mid-lifting, putting downing, and didn't want to be interrupted. And I think I communicated that effectively. I was polite, but put the do not disturb body language well in place, so he left me alone.
A good scowl. Yeah.
And he jumped on the rowing machine and began to work his cardio, which is all well and good. So I finished my lifting and putting down, and I sat down for a rest. And then I noticed that something wasn't quite right over in the general rowing machine area. There seemed to be more motion than there should be.
Were people doing it
And
in
when
the
I
gym?
when I looked a little closer, I realized that his underwear probably wasn't as... His underwear had lost containment.
Oh, no.
And his 2 veg had escaped and were now dangling towards the front of the rowing seat. Now, right, first of all, there's the horror. Right? You're looking at someone's balls.
That's
right?
an accident waiting to happen.
But that's it. That's immediately what I thought. I went, balls,
shit.
literally.
Yeah.
Because he's sliding forward towards them and then sliding back away from them. And I'm going like... And he's got a bit of amplitude, this guy. Like, he hangs low, right? So I'm going, how are these not getting caught under the seat and killing him?
Oh, God. I don't have balls in this. It sounds painful.
So now I have the eternal dilemma when you see someone with their balls out in a row machine. To tell them and acknowledge that I can see his balls, potentially saving him from a life-threatening injury, or stand back, I should say, and just turn on my camera phone. So at that point, my rest time ended and I went back in and did another set. When I came back out, the balls had disappeared.
All right.
So thankfully, I was saved from the moral dilemma because I'm pretty sure I would have gone with the camera, to be honest. But his dignity and his balls were saved, as he was probably not aware that anyone had seen. But he was probably, much like Shaun in sweltering Las Vegas, probably missing the breeze.
He was probably airing them out.
Maybe that's what it was. So anyway, those are my stories.
Yeah, warming them up.
See, it's funny that a guy seeing another guy's balls is all like, oh my God, this is an accident, do I tell him? Whereas a woman's always like, is this on purpose? And at what point do I become the victim here?
It's always about you, Shaun, isn't it?
I have sat in a hot tub with a guy who moved himself out of the water onto the lip of the hot tub, and I was baseball direct for the duration.
Baseball. Wasn't that a movie in the 80s, Baseballs?
Oh, God. Yeah, so, any other similar stories, or shall we move on?
I've been watching a lot of film and television recently.
Have you?
Yeah, hey, me too.
So, Shaun, you've been missing. You must have a load to talk about.
Well, let me tell you,
Is that another ball reference?
No. I just thought of that as I said it as well.
I've been waiting to talk about Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, given how apparently important it's going to me to be with regard to all the DC movies that they're doing. So it's very dumb and silly. It's a dumb, silly film that is very dumb, where people who are supposedly quite smart do things that do not make any logical sense. It's really bad. I don't know how to, the sequences of events mean that certain things people do end up not mattering, because things are always going to happen the same way, regardless if anyone had taken any action. Mm-hmm. People set up plans that they could never have thought, oh, I'm going to need to do this, because it would have been like planning for their own failure multiple times over, but not in a smart way where you have a backup plan, in a way where you do a bunch of shit you don't need to do that will probably go very badly for everyone. And then it ends really stupidly as well. Also, at one point, Batman sends an email, and it's one of the dumbest, least tense things I've ever seen, that amounts to about a 15-minute commercial for the Justice League movies. Made me very angry.
So
Shaun.
I won't go see this in the morning like I was planning on.
Shaun.
No,
So you didn't like it?
What?
Yeah, I hated this fucking movie.
Really?
That is not what the reviewers are saying.
No.
It's not what we said.
Everybody
actually,
loves it.
more importantly.
Some of the most respected reviewers in the world.
That's what I was going for. See, the whole bit there was, I go, that's not what reviewers are saying. And then Shaun will go, no, that is what reviewers are saying. And I go, well, not the reviewers that count, Shaun.
Well,
can we edit that in? Anyway, continue, Shaun. You didn't like it for some reason.
Come on, Shaun.
Maybe it's because you're too much of a fan. You know too much.
well, what I had to, at one moment when I was watching, I got really mad at a chase sequence, because in my head I was going, this isn't how things, no, these are not the characters. Why are you doing this? And this is coming from someone who didn't have the hugest problem with Man of Steel, where Zack Snyder made some very big decisions about the character that were very much different from the way Superman is in the comic books. So I had to, at one point, I closed my eyes and I just kind of like squeezed my head real tight and made myself think that this was actually a movie set in some alternate universe where Zack Snyder got to do whatever the fuck he felt like with these characters. It has the worst Batman origin story I've ever seen.
Is
the
that
change
not what
that he
comic
made
books are?
to that.
The exact opposite of what I said on the podcast.
Oh, Zack Snyder makes it. He makes, instead of it being a case that crime happens and that people are driven to desperation and bad things happen, and that's something that Batman vows to, make sure it never happens again. Instead of that, it's just Batman's dad is a fucking idiot and got his family killed.
So there's something worth talking about there, I think, right? And that is like the fans' perceived ownership of the intellectual property of these characters. And this is why there's such a backlash against Zack Snyder. Like, Zack Snyder is the director. He is trying to tell a story in the way that he thinks is the best to do that. Mm-hmm. He is probably not going, well, I must make sure now that Superman and Batman are what the fans expect, because otherwise there'll be backlash. Like, I imagine he doesn't think about that. He just does the best film he can. I hope.
That would be fine if it was a good movie.
It was a great movie. All the reviewers were saying that it was excellent. I think the average score is 8.
So there's a quote from, well, it's about to not be. That's about to come way down.
No. It's been reviewed in this podcast.
Yeah, you lost your chance, Shaun.
Constantly ask people what their scores were after they see movies at a later date. So there's a quote that I want to highlight from the trailers, so it's not spoiling anything. At one point, Batman says...
But I feel like if we don't ask you this time, it'll wind you up more.
So there's a quote from the trailers where Batman says, if there's even a 1% chance that he could be a bad guy, essentially, then there's a 100% chance that we have to take him down, which is not logical in any way. It's fucking dumb.
Makes sense to me.
No, it's illogical.
Shaun, why are you trying to apply logic to a superhero movie?
What are you talking
about?
It
actually does make...
Go on,
it actually does make sense. So I have this spreadsheet at work that is all about risk, right? And I love it because most of the numbers in it are completely made up and can't be validated against anything other than my brain.
Like this movie and your review of it.
Wait. No, that's validated by the other reviewers that matter. So,
Mark, are you saying that I don't matter because I haven't seen the film
He's
yet?
saying that I don't matter, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think you matter yet. I'll wait to hear your opinion,
Shaun
Shaun.
Don't matter.
Yeah, it's an anti-S thing.
And Mark's big fucking cheese on this.
Actually, stop interrupting the talent, goddammit.
Shaun,
Right.
are you taking into consideration, like we said, with boxing
you're not
movies-
letting me talk about my spreadsheet.
I'll come back to your spreadsheet. Just while I have this thought in my mind because I'll lose it. Do you remember, like Mike said recently about boxing movies, that they're all based on the quality of its montage. I think this actually, is one of those movies too. Fantastic montage.
Great montage.
It was, wasn't
Which
it?
montage are you talking about?
He hits a tire with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Then he drags heavy shit across the floor, bear crawling.
Then he sweats and does some pull-ups.
Lifts up heavy things, puts them down, lifts them up again.
No, seriously though.
Sometimes lifts them with one hand, sometimes two.
And
seriously though.
punches things.
Myself and Mike, for two of our collective here, aren't big fans of superhero movies. Not as a rule, but in general. Mm-hmm. I think we really enjoyed this one, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Probably because it's not a proper superhero movie.
Oh.
It's not a proper
I think
movie.
you've got it, Mike.
It's
not
actually
made for the
film.
fans.
It's a proper movie, Shaun.
No, it's not. The things that Lex Luthor does don't make any sense and don't matter.
That's not Lex Luthor, that's his kid.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. The things that Alexander
If you've been
Luthor,
watching carefully, you would have known that.
also known as Lex Luthor,
I don't know. Did we see the
Maybe
same
you
movie?
weren't paying attention.
I was paying a lot of attention because I couldn't not from the pain.
Maybe that just
The
disqualifies
things
his
that he
opinion.
does, even though they're unmotivated, which I'd be fine with, because Jesse Eisenberg, I actually think, pulls off the best performance
He's brilliant, isn't he?
of the
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah.
He's the
very
only
good.
one who knows what movie he's in. He goes as big as he fucking can because he knows he's going to get away with it. Everybody else thinks that they're making a serious film which just makes all of the things that could have been campy fun boring and annoying and dreary.
I was getting ready to rebut you there, but there's no rebuttal, Shaun. Look, you just hate it.
No. It's also objectively poorly plotted and poorly characterized, and the dialogue is dumb. No. It is though.
No, it's not.
Okay, so for example, Lex Luthor tries to manipulate those two people into fighting, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
he never needs to do that.
Excellently, he does it.
No, he doesn't need to, because Batman was always going to fight Superman from the beginning of the movie.
Because of the logic of...
Because of his poorly thought out ideas about the world, because he's a dumb Batman, which is silly.
He's not a dumb Batman.
He doesn't have good ideas about anything. Why does he help Wonder Woman at any point in the movie? Why does he do it? Because she's pretty, I guess?
Yeah.
Because she happens to show up at things that he's at?
He's a Batman that spent 20 years fighting crime, and the irony in the film is that he is the person who's being corrupted by power, whereas he perceives that in Superman. And that's the whole message of the movie is about power corrupting. And I thought it's a story very well told.
Well, what about, did you not have a problem where they go from being mortal enemies, then there's a dumb reason that he gives up?
Careful on the whole spoilery thing. Yeah.
I understand. They go from mortal enemies, and then there's a dumb reason that they have to focus on other problems, because as we know from the trailers, they obviously team up.
Bros,
that's a fantastic reason.
No, my God, really?
They have to save the world.
No, it's not. Also,
if a threat
you don't
to
get
the
to go
survival of the human
enemies
race
to
is not a
friends.
reason to join up and put your
One line of
differences
dialogue.
aside, I just don't know what is.
Exactly. Mike is right. But also, when you fight people, you actually become their friend. It's a
No,
really
what
weird
the
thing.
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, you
Try
build
to
a grudging
kill the
respect
man.
for your opponent.
Yeah, you do. If you actually have a fisticuff fight with anyone, you're friends after it.
No, I think sometimes you kill them like Batman does
Well,
constantly.
no, if they die, that's okay, right? That's different. Well, it's not okay. Sorry, Jesus, especially in light of the news this week. But if you fight, like anyone I've ever fought in the ring, or inside or outside, you're mates with them afterwards. 'Cause it's a weird thing. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's true nonetheless.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that from the way that they fought or anything in between mortal enemies to friends. Again, one line of
They
dialogue.
made friends, and what Mike said.
They didn't make friends.
They
There
made
was no
friends with
moment
this
where they
movie?
made friends.
Does that give things
They fought.
away?
No, not really. You've seen the trailer, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen previous superhero movies? Okay, well then,
There
nothing's given
are
away.
3 jokes in the movie, and for some reason they all happen at the end after the apparent moment of most tension. This is I was just going to sum it up. It's a poorly plotted, poorly written, mostly poorly acted, definitely poorly directed, boring, dreary, drab, illogical film. 2 out of 10.
Can I just go back
Sorry, I
to
didn't hear that
that's
last bit.
plainly a biased review, but like this is
Oh my God.
by the same token that you give rubbish superhero films 8. Right now, you give a good superhero film a 2. It's brilliant.
No, this
But
is
I
a
want to
bad
talk
movie.
about. Put Batman and Superman aside. I want to talk about whether the fans should feel ownership of the characters they're fans of. Because that's where all this Zack Snyder hate's coming from. People feel like they own Superman and Batman, and if it's not what they expect, the director or the writer has done something wrong.
So is it because he's not following the script? Is that it? Is it like
No,
the,
no,
like,
he's
the-
doing
the
like the-
fans'
bad
perceived script,
Yes.
and a lot of Shaun's vitriol is coming from this because you didn't get what you expect.
Yeah.
No.
I
Let me
don't,
just
I
put one
don't
thing
hear
out.
that's what Sean's complaining about.
There's a Justice League movie animated called Justice League: Gods and Monsters. Right?
Right.
It came out about 6 months ago. It's made by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, the guys who did the Batman animated series. They completely changed the origins of all of the main 3 characters: Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're completely different in every way. In fact, they kill people. Like, they're very, very intense. That's a good movie.
It's so
I
good.
have no
that it
problem with having
didn't make
different
any money.
versions of heroes. I just need it to make sense and be interesting.
Okay, so how about when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman and everybody went nuts?
I thought he'd do a good job. He was fine.
I thought he'd do a good job as well, but again, people would go, "That's not how I see Batman." Grr,
You know what?
rage.
I had this conversation with someone today. Actually, they were talking about this movie, and they're talking about Michael Keaton was the best Batman, and so on. And then someone mentioned George Clooney, and I was like, oh yeah, he was Batman. I can't picture. I just can't picture him as Batman now. I just, I know I've seen the movie, but I just can't fathom how George Clooney could ever be Batman. He's just
it's
too
probably best not to
With
remember.
bat nipples.
Yeah. Oh, of course, he was the famous bat nipple. Yeah. Anyway, 2 out of 10. Okay, here's another movie we reviewed that I believe you've seen. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane was so fucking tense. I was a little worried because the opening's slow. The opening is like it's preamble, and I was like, shit. Okay, it's an interesting mood. It's kind of eerie. Everything's look really grey, steely. And I'm like, okay, well, something has to happen. I'm not really sure. And then something happened, and I went, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was worried there was going to be a lot of that. But then the second that's over with, Mary Elizabeth Winstead does a great fucking job. Her performance was awesome. I like that her character is active constantly. There's never a time when she isn't looking for an angle or trying to figure out a way to get what she wants or to get. And I was worried that the plot couldn't finish. Right? I was worried that because obviously it had Cloverfield in the name. We were wondering how connected to the Cloverfield movie it would be.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Will and is she being lied to? What do we as an audience know that she doesn't? What do we as an audience believe that she may or may not? And that tension was played upon really well. Excellent performances from the main cast. I loved the music from, like, I guess the middle section. The preamble was just kind of like, bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong. That's fine. But I really, I was so invested. I was really invested throughout. And I thought it was a great ending that did manage to complete a character arc. I thought that was going to get lost in the hubbub. But they pulled it off.
Cool. Shaun, have you seen House of Cards season 3 yet?
Season 4.
4, whatever.
I've seen, yes, indeed.
Have you seen season 3? Maybe that's what I wanted to know.
Yes, indeed, I have.
I just finished it last week.
What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I think it was a return to form. Season 3 was kind of, I was beginning to wonder if it was heading down a path that, I don't know, was a bit boring. Because I don't know if you can top season 1, but I think season 4 came pretty close. It was very good.
I think that the first half of the season had ups and downs, but the second they got to about episode 8 and the main Republican character of the season started to get equal play, like equal screen time, I was fucking locked in.
Yeah.
It was really, it was intense. I loved it. I really, really did like that last drag. I didn't like the way they kind of moved Frank Underwood to the side at a certain point. Like, there was a great, wonderful climactic moment in the 3rd or 4th episode, but that kind of made it seem like they took a step back from Frank then for a few episodes. And I was like, he's the reason I watched this show, so I need you to give me another reason. I also completely called one of the last shots of the last episode.
I loved the way that the season ended. I really, really loved, like, that last episode was brilliant. It was really good television, but I love the dramatic flair of, like, the last scene that we have. I would disagree with you in terms of the focus of the first part of the season, because I find it really interesting what they're looking into there and the character development that's happening. So I was happy with that, but I love the way that it finished. So the whole season for me was really strong, and it ended really, really strong.
So in episode 3 or 4, I was sure that thing you talk about, the dramatic flair, I was like, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
They need to do that now. Like, if they're as a united front, I was like, this is going to be a great season. And I think instead they just went, let's do it at the end, and we can do that for the rest of the next season.
Yeah.
So I just felt a little like, well, if I saw it like as a thing I wanted, then why couldn't you just give it to me?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely better than last season.
There's one thing that I wondered if there's a point in the season where Frank is talking to his wife. Well, no, he's doing the talking head to the camera, but it seems like his wife hears what he's saying, whereas most of the time his talking head to the camera is, ignored by everybody else. So I wonder what if you could read anything into that. I think I agree. Yeah, I think so. And did you know that Robin Wright directed almost half the episodes in this season? Yeah, I noticed that in the credits. It's amazing.
She was in so much of all of them. Like, it's
know.
insane.
Well, maybe that's why, because she was in it and she just said, listen, I'm here, I know this character, and the way that we're taking this story, you know, she was a good person to direct them. But she did a brilliant job. Yeah. So anyways, season 4.
You didn't follow that up with For a Woman.
Only for the fact that I did arms in the gym today and I'm not able to punch you, I'll let you go with that.
Got off lucky there, Steve.
Sure did. Pick my moments.
Steve the assassin, really.
So, The Huntsman. Who watched this?
I did.
I nearly did.
And tell us.
Well, you can thank me and Shaun from saving the rest of you from this, because this was originally on the list.
No way, really?
Yeah, I had it on the list,
Yeah.
and me and Shaun were chatting over the weekend, and we were just talking about going, you know, this is the wrong choice for anyone to have to watch.
Really?
But then I found myself at a loose end with my dad at the weekend on Saturday, and he's a big film fan. So I said, well, why don't we head into the cinema? Because Mum wants to go shopping. So I didn't really want to go with her, neither did Dad. So we said, well, let's see what's on. And it was the only thing that was on at that time. So it is the prequel and sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman, or whatever that film was called.
Uh-huh.
Was it Snow White and the Huntsman, or just Snow White?
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Snow White,
Snow White
Winter
and
Warrior.
Yeah. So it turns out that the Huntsman was trained to fight from birth by the Wicked Queen.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's an
I've
origins.
already fucked up. Was trained to fight by the Wicked Queen's sister,
Ah,
who is the one with ice powers from Frozen,
right.
but doesn't sing, which could have probably helped the movie. So she is jilted by the sister, the Frozen Powers girl,
Yeah.
is jilted by this engaged man that she was dallying with. And she had her heart broken. So, like any rational person, she decides to form her own kingdom and outlaw love.
Right.
And it's punishable by death.
All right.
So if you make glad eyes at anyone, you have to be queer cute about how you do it.
That's kind of like The Lobster that Colin Farrell was in this year. He joins a group where love is illegal and it gets gross if you like somebody.
How does
Is that a good
reproduction work
film?
in that scenario?
You know, I don't know because I walked out shortly after that scene.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what happens.
Oh, was that a bad film?
So bad.
Really? I was looking forward to
I
it.
really did not like it.
Really?
I heard
No.
great
Well,
things
it's
about
not
it.
going to be as bad as this one, let me tell you.
Really? All right.
See, Mark,
Oh, God,
I have a real problem with the tone that you're taking here. This is a movie that has Jessica Chastain,
Very pretty people. Yeah.
Emily Blunt, and Charlize Theron. And for the girls, Mr. Hemsworth. You are the person who constantly drives it into our psyches that good-looking people make good movies.
I never thought I'd say
Yeah,
this, Mike,
Mark.
but sometimes it doesn't matter how good looking you are. you can't make a script work.
Not even ridiculously good looking.
Yeah, like no. To be fair, the good lookingness helped a lot,
Yeah.
but
Not
it
enough.
just wasn't enough.
Yeah. I mean, Charlize
like-
Theron is a really good-looking woman, but when you make her 50 feet high, it
No, I don't think it's worth spending too much time in it. It's very weakly plotted. The character arcs and characters themselves aren't deep at all. It's aimed squarely at children. And even then, a few of them will be looking at each other going, "Ban love? What's with this crazy bitch?" The special effects are really good, however. And I think it is possibly the best use of ice powers in a movie, which would be controversial given that I'm a huge fan of Iceman from the X-Films. But he never uses powers very well, so maybe it's not that big a stretch.
This is disappointing considering how good the trailer was.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I told you that trailer was shit and that the movie would be shit.
Trailer looked fantastic.
The trailer looked dumb.
What about all the
Yes,
double
admittedly,
tomahawk
but-
combat?
The axe combat's decent. And the scene in the trailer where he makes this ridiculous jump and tries to use his axe to save himself.
Yeah.
That's great. That is actually a great scene.
Cliffhanger.
I wish they hadn't put it in the trailer because it's kind of spoiled. But yeah, so no, nobody should go and see it. I think it's probably a 3 out of 10. I would say.
Oh, wow.
It's really bad.
Wow, I see.
But what did cheer me up is the Fear of the Walking Dead is back in our screens.
Oh, yeah.
And it featured an early contender for Best Zombie Kill of the Year. Let me set the scene. They're in a dinghy just off the shore. Small dinghy. There are zombies chasing them as they try to get on it. The dinghy has an outboard motor.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Slices.
They use the outboard motor to mess up the face of a zombie. It was really good.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was a slow episode, though. Did you like the episode overall?
It was an average episode. I think you're right. Yeah. Pacing's always an issue with Fear of. It was an issue for The Walking Dead itself for a while, but they seem to have fixed that big time this year, this season.
Did you get to watch the finale and the controversy about all that?
Why was there controversy?
So I was really worried I needed to watch it immediately because all these articles started popping up about controversy and people going, they're fucking treating the fans like shit. So apparently people didn't like...
Here we go again.
Yeah, apparently people didn't like that they were treated... There is a big event that happens and the fans are not clued in to how it ends at the end of the season. They're just left there sitting and having to wait the year or whatever it is to get an answer, basically to what happens in the last scene of this series.
Just sitting for a year.
Well, it's basically Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick, was brought in for so many interviews, but I read one of them and people were like, so like, what do you think about the fan reaction to the show? And he goes, I mean, I understand it. Like I see blah, 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 blah. And they were like, yeah, okay. So how are you going to keep this? Basically, who is going to die? How are you going to keep that a secret for a year? And he's like, well, whenever somebody dies in the show, we all kind of, we come together, as a team, and we just like, we don't talk about it that much, like not to each other, not to the press. And I'm just like, dude, people go to where you film and take photos, right? Like, that there's people whose entire job is to find out. People are going to find out. This was a silly idea. Now, I liked the scene. I was completely fine with them choosing to end it that way. But I can understand why other people were like, fuck you guys. Fuck you.
Outlander started back this week.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Knew you'd be happy about that.
Yeah, actually, I'm not as happy as my mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's like #1 super fan of Outlander.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Has been complaining pretty well constantly since it ended. When's it coming back?
What's his name again?
Can't remember.
What's his name? Come on. Abs boy.
Who?
Outlander.
Which one?
Remember the guy who gets his shirt off?
Mackle
Was
something.
that like
or-
Cornwall?
Oh, no,
that's Poldark.
Poldark.
Oh, Poldark. Yeah, so I only know Poldark's abs.
Oh, okay. I
I
can't
don't know
remember his
Outlander's
name now.
abs.
Off the top of
Sorry.
Oh, you
No.
probably need to educate yourself.
Yeah,
a bit
you
there,
probably
Shaun.
appreciate
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll have to make an update to the wank bank.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have a chat with my mother. She'll bring you up to speed.
A bit of a circle jerk about it.
Yeah. I'm struggling not to visualize
So the way we all sort of get nerdy about stuff, about a sort of specific subject. Everyone does,
Yeah.
Whether it's Mike learning Chinese through Latin, or Shaun and his comic books, or etc. So I kind of get nerdy about sort of engines and shit.
You do,
right?
don't you, Steve?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
your thing.
So no, I've been slagged for bedtime reading being like a manual for an engine or that kind of stuff.
A gearhead.
Yeah, totally right. So
I woke up last weekend and you were in my driveway cleaning my car.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate it though. You missed the spot, but it's fine.
Anyway, there's this new series that's started. James May from Top Gear who's the nerdy one, I guess.
Yeah.
He's got a new series called The Reassembler, and he takes devices from the past, like old telephones and old, I don't know, cars and engines and whatever. But the
Galaxy S2s.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So this week's episode was the first episode in the new series, and he was reassembling a 1950s petrol lawnmower, right? And it was on for an hour, right? And I found it fascinating, right? But it's so funny because he knew how nerdy he was being. Like he had people, like at least 3 or 4 people, sound and cameras and so on, in the room with him as he went about reassembling this thing. And first off, he starts with the engine. I mean, he had to reassemble the whole engine, like piston rings and all that kind of stuff. And it sort of flicks through it, and he's doing it. He's quite funny about how he approaches it, and he's very methodical and so on. And so it flicks to 9 hours in. You know, right? And the people are still there with the cameras, you know, and he's going, so if you're still watching this, you know, you're a nerd, you know, I just can't believe anyone's still watching this, you know, kind of thing. That's what he's saying. But yeah, fascinating. And
It's almost a subculture, isn't it?
Oh, total.
Yeah.
Total. Niche subculture.
Big time.
Yeah. But very, very enjoyable because he's obviously a very sort of, you know, pleasant kind of guy. And he's easy to watch, you know.
He was always the one of the 3 that actually knew how shit worked, too.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The other 2 are just like, I don't know, make racist jokes or whatever. And then,
and
then you come and say, this is how the diff works.
Yeah, exactly, the tech guy. But anyway, so it's a new series. I heartily recommend it if you're anyway nerdy about that stuff. But
so
I would say...
took apart the lawnmower and then
no,
put it back together?
No.
Oh.
He put it together rather than taking it apart. It was already apart and in pieces, like 300 and something pieces out on a bench. Yeah. So he'd walk over and go, I need this bit and that bit.
So
and
like
next
he's
bit.
playing host/puzzle maker.
Yeah, and he has a 1950s manual, you know, and he has the whole history. It was the first like petrol lawnmower that was sold to the masses, you know, kind of way. Before that was all push mower kind of stuff.
Twin cam V6.
Yeah. Anyway,
actually, on the nerdy engineering thing.
So tell us.
I watched.
You got seriously nerdy with this.
Yeah, I did. I did a series on BBC called "How to Build a Nuclear Submarine," which charts.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
You're on a list now, man.
Which charts the construction of the new Astute class for the Royal Navy, nuclear attack submarines. And I was just watching this, thinking, Steve will fucking love this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's welding. There's hoists, there's clamps, there's trailers, there's polymers, there's 200,000 miles of cable into it. And I was actually giggling. I said, I got to get Steve to watch this because he's going to sit there with a wrench in one hand and his dick in the other. So again, if you're into that kind of thing, it's a great show.
If you're listening, Dad, it's not true.
Just a little tighter.
Okay, moving on.
Swiftly on.
Yeah, next up, we'll go to news. So, Mark, Celebrity Big Brother's coming back, and they've already signed a couple of people.
No way. Who's in?
Do you remember Egyptian Air was hijacked recently? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a guy on board, and he asked your man for a selfie. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant selfie. He's just smiling. So he's going to be on it,
right?
That guy. And John.
It's actually not a selfie. It's just a picture someone took.
It's a picture. Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to be fucking pedantic.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to educate. I mean, I just don't want everyone to call every picture a selfie. I feel like that's
okay. All right. Okay. Fair enough. And rumor has it that the Irish drug mule, Michaela McCallum, is that right? Yeah, that she signed up for it as well.
The Peru one.
Yeah, allegedly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Peru one. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. She'll be right in the public eye there now. Yeah, I thought she was going to do Ellen or Oprah.
The Guildford 4, the Birmingham 6, and the Peru 1.
Yeah. So they're two.
I don't know if that's going to catch on, Mike.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what the kind of qualifications of being a celebrity now is. You know, is it just because you're mentioned in the media for more than 15 minutes? What?
Isn't I'm a Celebrity always Z-list?
I'm kind of a celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah.
Dying for that.
Also in the news, I don't know if you heard about this, but since the success, it's interesting. People are jumping on trends much quicker nowadays. Since the success of Deadpool, very shortly after that movie came out, it was announced that Batman v Superman would have an R-rated cut, which was thought to only be going to DVD. But apparently, there are rumors now that the extra 30 minutes of footage and R-rated violence may make it to a theater near you. According to the Heroic Insider podcast, the disappointing box office has Warner Brothers trying to figure out how to get a little more mileage out of the movie. It made $166 million domestically its opening weekend, but from that Friday to the next, it dropped 81% in its second weekend. So I think it's partially they think that the success of Deadpool will make that happen, and partially because they want to make more money with the footage they already have, which is clever. And another way that's impacted, that other movies have impacted superhero movies, is they're going to do reshoots for Suicide Squad to try and put some more humor into the movie, which is apparently a reaction to people saying Batman vs. Superman was too grim.
Huh. And people liking Deadpool, I'd say, for its...
Probably, yeah. And it's the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing as well, because that was such a... You can just take people don't know and make a movie, and as long as it's fun, you'll get some traction out of it. So it's interesting.
What else did I mean to tell you about? Oh, yeah, Mike.
Yep.
You'll be delighted to hear the Baywatch movie.
Oh, yeah?
It's going to be R-rated.
Nice.
Wow. Dwayne Johnson dick. Right? That's what we're excited about. I wonder if his balls are as shiny as his head. Answer, probably. If you're listening, by the way, we love your work.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to the first of our TV in the form of Wynonna Earp.
Wynonna.
Yeah. You want to tell us about that? Floor is open, folks.
Sure. Wynonna Earp tells the story of the descendants of Wyatt Earp and his gun having to deal with all the people that he killed who are coming back as demons in the town of Purgatory.
So what do we think?
I kind of like this.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think you would. But okay.
Guilty pleasure, Mike.
Tell us why, Mike.
Well, do you remember... Was it Jessica Jones?
Yeah.
The one that I didn't like?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of got a bit of that, but they made it good.
Do you think it has a bit of Jessica Jones?
Oh my
in that
God.
there's a female lead?
Yeah, and she
That's the
has a
only parallel.
leather jacket that she never changes.
Right, okay.
So it's a bit like Utopia.
Yeah, she's similar hygiene issues to Jessica Jones. Then you've got a little bit of Buffy.
A little bit.
You got a little bit of Justified, a little bit of Longmire. I just can't see how anybody would not like this show.
I'm ready.
Unleash the beast there, Shaun.
Much as Mike was describing how it seems to be made up of different pieces from different shows, I agree that it's incredibly cliched. The opening is kind of nonsensical, but I was giving it a shot because they have this... I didn't look up the name of the blonde actress because she's bad at acting and I hope I never see her again and she doesn't get any work. But I was hoping that it was just her fault that I wasn't being drawn in. Because there's a scene where she does some stupid shit that's really obvious that she shouldn't do, but she doesn't sell it in any way with her acting. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to care when you get killed. And then, so I was like, okay, what kind of show are we looking for here? Is this going to be like a Monster of the Week supernatural type thing? And then I was like, okay, I don't like the dialogue. It seems pretty cliched. The characterization seems very rote. I think the only similarities between her and Jessica Jones is that this character is trying to be tough and happens to be a lady and has black hair.
And a black leather jacket.
And her outfit, cosmetic similarities.
And
agreed.
friends who own bars.
Say again?
And friends who own bars.
Friends who own bars, sure. She goes drinking, which is
and
not
a bit of an
character,
attitude.
but it's a thing that happens in this show. I was not
Depends what
impressed.
country you're in, I think.
I was not impressed by the action. That was the only thing that I was looking forward to save it. And they actually try and do something a bit different. in one of their action scenes where everything gets kind of like blurry and it's creepy. And I was like, oh, it's like a horror. It's not just a rote action thing. But then they forget about that for the rest of probably the series. And it seems to just be like regular action fighting. The wire work is laughable. At one point, she does a spinny kick, and she's very clearly a couple of feet away from the guy that she's supposed to be kicking. And I was just like, this is piss.
She's got extendable feet.
No, give over. Yeah, Shaun, I agree with everything you've just said. I don't have very much more to add, except it was probably, 45 minutes too long?
Yeah, maybe 50. I take back the 5 minutes I just spent talking about it.
Okay, yeah. Mark?
I want to hear what Shauna has to say.
So, I went into this episode expecting this to be a Western version of Buffy, because this is Wyatt Earp's great-granddaughter, and it's a sci-fi film, so I'm like, all right, she's going to be a sci-fi show, so she'll be fighting some demon bad guys. And I thought, okay, Buffy set in a Western, there is potential there. And then the show starts, and something happens, fairly quickly in. It's the hook. And like Shaun said, that there was some potential in a scene where Wynonna is fighting a demon, and you think, it looks kind of cool. It certainly has a certain aesthetic about it that is fresh-ish. And the violence surprised me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was like, that came out of
I was
nowhere.
like, I wasn't expecting that. Wow. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll suspend my doubts because there's potential here. And then the episode went from bad to worse to insulting.
Insulting, that's a very strong word, Shaun.
Because it wasted my time, and it insults me that I would watch it. Because I'm assuming I'm one of the demographics that's just, anyways, that they're pitching to. The thing that stood out to me was the bad acting. I mean, everything in this TV show is overacted. The lead character, Wynonna, is trying so hard to be disaffected and angry that, unlike Jessica Jones, who manages to portray somebody who is conflicted, Wynonna looks like someone who is, I don't know, a stroppy teenager mixed with, I don't even know. I don't even care enough to finish my comparison.
I don't think you can compare the hurt in the backstory for Wynonna and Jessica Jones.
Wait, are you telling me now that I can't compare Jessica Jones and Wynonna?
I'm saying that Jessica Jones, she had some tough times growing up, but nothing compared to Wynonna. Wynonna's come through real adversity.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Which the show
He's right, lads. He's right.
Jessica Jones was raped for months.
Yeah.
He's pushing buttons,
What?
Shaun.
What?
Shaun, he's pushing buttons. We're
That-
walking away. We're walking away from this conversation.
that's a tough
Mike,
story. I would
Mike.
sympathize. But compared to what Wynonna went through, it's nothing.
You're going to have to do a lot of work, Mike, for me to take your review seriously.
Ever.
From now on.
Yeah. I don't think we even really get Wynonna backstory. We have a bit of flashback where we learn that she's a bad shot, but other than that, anyways,
That
so
bad shot has consequences that are still with her.
Yeah. So back to my review. This show is primarily overacted, which is just barely, almost overshadowed by how poor the effects are. You kind of have like a bit of promise in the beginning, and you think maybe something cool is going to happen. But like Shaun was saying, because of the bad effects and the bad acting, the result is that there's no tension, and it goes from being. If you look at the demographic for Buffy, for example, it might have been late teenage years, maybe, and
Right.
then all of a sudden, this episode to me is aimed at like a Doctor Who level of audience that's much younger and easy to scare. Mike,
You say there's no tension.
no, there's no tension.
She's got an X-Files partner from a secret U.S. Marshals agency. And he's
Exactly.
a good-looking guy, and she's going to spend the rest of the series not consummating that attraction. That is tension, my friend.
You're right, Mike.
Sexual
And like,
tension aside.
I don't know why people are being so hard on this show, because overacting to me is you give 110%, making this an even better show than those where people just act. But I kind of presume that you would really like this because, like, it qualifies as passing the Bechdel test
so
if you talk about demons, right?
Just because there's a woman lead does not mean that
Who passes the
every
Bechdel
feminist is gonna enjoy it because it's a shitty made
Essentially,
TV show.
on the Bikies this year, this is the show you asked for.
No, she was asking for a good show, I'm pretty sure.
I think
No, she was
Jessica
asking for
Jones
shows
is
to
what I
pass the
asked
Bechdel
for.
test.
Just one.
Yeah, you have it now.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
God.
good.
Are you a man telling a woman, see, you did it.
There you go.
It's done now.
There you go,
Do you
Shaun.
feel good
What
now?
are you complaining about? Sexism is over.
Sure, we're post-sexist.
Yeah, we are now. We've just proven it with that show. The great Wynonna Earp.
They make a desolation and call it peace.
All right, Mark, go. What's your review?
Oh, God, I hated this. It was terrible. It's so bad. The girl that plays... I looked this up, right, just so that I wouldn't go too far. But the girl that plays the young sister, who is dressed like a cheerleader, is 26.
With the weird ponytail. Or, sorry, weird braid. Go on.
It's such bad casting. Like, she's not able to play a teen, and she's meant to be one.
Is she supposed to be a teenager?
Yeah.
She's meant to be a teen, yeah, because she makes a comment about how her boobs have appeared.
Does she?
And and then she changes it to ponytails.
What?
You probably missed the double entendre, but being trained in such things.
Oh, no. She's like, you've grown your... And then she makes the motion for boobs, and then she's like, hair. That was
Exactly,
what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, for a while there's a 5-minute piece in the middle where they were trying to have a Sam and Dean conversation from Supernatural, and it just made me wonder what Supernatural is like this season. So just go watch that.
It's all right, actually. It's going quite well.
Is it good? Well, maybe that's what I'll do, but I certainly won't be watching any more of this. I think we've beaten this dead horse enough. It's terrible.
Okay.
Unless you're Mike.
So, 1 thriller, 4 fillers.
Fair to say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed in you people.
The next of our TV was Blue Eyes. This is a Swedish TV show which is just started on 4 more.
Blue Organ. Wasn't that the...
Blue Organ. Yeah. Let's say no.
For
Stop.
our Swedish-speaking listeners.
It's nothing to do when coming out of swimming in the sea.
No. So this is a far right party. So this is kind of based on. I'm fairly sure it's based on what actually happened in Sweden because around 2010 there's a far right party which had 5% of the vote and now is up to 20%. A few years later,
I believe it's now the most popular party in Sweden.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Which is kind of crazy because they're kind of like a anti-immigrant party. But yeah, so that's generally what it's about. Is the rise of this anti-immigrant party. I like this. I went into it completely blind, actually, and immediately it had a couple of scenes where I was like, "Okay, I'm in."
Right.
And it finished very strongly as well. There was a great hook at the end where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
So who is Blue Eyes?
I don't think they tell us. in the
Remains
first
to be seen, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I missed something there.
Yeah, but I thought it was great. I thought it was well written. I thought dialogue was good, and the story moved along. It did lull a little bit in the middle. I was thinking, and then realised near the end, there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
So it made sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the lull kind of doesn't compare well with Borgen.
Right, I get you. Yeah.
But Borgen doesn't have the same kind of hook
No.
at the end. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I know they're can be compared all right, but yeah, certainly that's a hell of a hook.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Did you not?
No.
I kind of did.
No, well, I mean, like 5 minutes before, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, without spoiling things, I just thought, is that a wise thing to do?
Apparently, this was very, very popular in Sweden. You know, 1 million people used to tune into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's what, a population of 10
Mm-hmm.
million or something like that. And they thought it was so, like, initially a lot of people thought it was like a documentary, kind of like based on or was following what was happening in reality, let's say. You know, because it was so close to what was actually happening, which is fascinating.
It was it 2015 this was made?
2014.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of missed the whole hijinks last summer.
Yes.
Right.
Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah, coming to a screen near you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was huge. It was huge in Sweden. Yeah. So, I just think it's very interesting the way they're addressing problems that are still, you know, there's a lot of other countries that are, it's sort of emerging. It's emerging here, not in such a severe way, let's say, but you can kind of see their point, but they're going about it the wrong way, you know.
I thought the characterization was interesting. Like the lead character's son, is just such an effeminate young
harmless young lad,
and he is a classic example of what the Swedish liberal society has tried to produce over the last 50 years. And he is particularly ill-equipped to deal with violence. Doesn't understand it, has no capacity to take part in it, and he's going to get fucked over badly when it comes to him. And I thought that was, I wouldn't say it was subtle. It was kind of in your face, you know, this is where we are as a society. This is what we're facing. And I suppose they're going to explore the consequences of that as the series goes on. Interesting.
I had a few... Go on,
I'm
Shaun.
just wondering, Mike, can you not just do that with all the things that you review? Like, take it seriously. Like, I don't know.
Moment of seriousness. I fucked up, Shaun. I'm sorry.
Anyway, regularly scheduled programming.
It's a fair request from Shaun. So, what was my point? This show, I'm confused about who I'm following in this show, and I think there's a few structural elements that I think weakened a pilot that looks like it's essentially about a good TV show. But, you know, the pilot kind of opens on introducing characters who we don't know, we don't understand what we're seeing, and that happens often enough with pilots where by the end of the episode, the point of getting to the end of the episode is to understand what you saw at the beginning of the episode, and that's, you know, you see that often enough. But I got to the end of the episode still kind of confused about some of the things that I saw in the beginning. I don't know who these characters are that I was introduced to. And then there was a few places that the pilot went that got me confused about what this show is about or who this show is about. So I don't think it's a great sign of a pilot when that confusion is one of the overriding impressions you're left with.
I found that part of the hook, though, because just because the rest of it, like the secondary characters that we think that we're introduced to, because normally you're introduced to the primary characters, right, initially, and the secondary characters, you sort of think, okay, this is a side story. They'll come back to the main one later, you know, because the intro is so strong, you know, and then they kind of don't, you know. But is that not part of the hook?
Well, I agree with you. There's potential there that they're kind of saying, you think the show is about this, but actually the show is about this. But I think if you're going to do it that way, you need to be either a bit more obvious or you need to spend a bit more time doing that. And I don't think the show kind of went either way. So I was left in the end. I didn't find it as much of a hook as you did because I was just confused about who I was supposed to be following and what I was supposed to be caring about. That said, I think that the cinematography really stood out to me in terms of like the tones, the filters on the lens. There was kind of a very cool tone to
it's
the
real
show.
Nordic noir kind of, isn't it?
Nordic,
Yeah.
So it looks nice to watch. I like it was shot well.
That might be part of your problem with it, is that a lot of those Nordic shows, they do tend to be a little less linear than what we expect
I was thinking that like
American
this
shows.
pacing style I've seen before. Like it's not completely new to me,
Yeah.
but it's not one that grabs me either, because it's the kind of thing where you have to invest in the series almost in order to decide if you care about it, and I just don't have time to do that. There's too many other good shows I'm watching that I know I want to see from the beginning. Like Daredevil, which I'm making my way through, and then Kimmy Schmidt will be back soon, and then we have Game of Thrones at the end of the month. I've got way too much on my plate to be making time for shows that like kind of work at a snail's pace.
Yeah, if you cast your eyes back to The Killing, that started off kind of slow too, and it burned and burned, and then by the end of it, you just couldn't take your eyes off it. You know, it was there was a bit of a bite missing from this episode.
It's kind of the numbers that that we've read about that are watching that sort of encourage me to watch more of it. You know?
Well, see, that's like, because I won't say that this is a bad show. I think it was acted really well.
Yeah.
I think that the characters we're introduced to look really interesting. Certainly, some of the tertiary characters, I think there is definitely potential there for these people to have a really complex backstory that we're only getting to see glimpses of on the surface at the moment, that would be enjoyable to watch unfold over the course of a season. I just think it's happening a bit too subtly and a bit too slowly in the pilot to grab me personally, but it's not by any means a scathing review, because I think the show looks like it has potential. It just didn't interest me.
Okay.
Do you know what they could have done better? It's
What,
more
Mike?
exterior views, giving us a sweetie kind of thing. Like a lot of it takes place in kind of shitty suburbs and whatever, and
like reality.
Yeah, like reality. You know, it doesn't give you that whole Lord of the Rings draw you into this new world sort of a thing. You know, it's just
It's not a new world. It's Earth.
Yeah, it's beyond
Earth
Lochray.
in Sweden.
That makes it.
I think I'm going to watch more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think it's past the test for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I will.
Thriller from me.
I'm going to give this a filler. Like I said, I think it's a good show, but I just don't care enough to sit down and watch again.
And
but
your diary's full.
my diary is full, but I would listen with interest on your review at the end of the season.
Yeah. See, I've loads of time now that Limitless is finished, Elementary's finished. Oh no, Elementary is it finished? They're on episode 20, I think. Limitless is finished, Shaun, right?
I don't know, Steve. I got very worried when you said it was finished a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it feels like it's finished again. Lucifer, I've just noticed today that it's not finished. There's an episode left. Class.
2 Elementary just came out at once.
That's right. They did. 19 and 20. And yeah, I think I have a slot. Yeah. Although Game of Thrones is coming on.
Got a couple of weeks to get it in though.
I started Better Call Saul season 2 as well.
Oh yeah,
It's great,
it's
isn't
going
it?
very well. It's going very well.
It's brilliant. Mike, will you watch more of this?
I was leaning towards no. But that hook at the end, I kind of
Yeah.
want to see what happens next.
Yeah. It's just like, God damn, that's a hook. Yeah. Have to give it at least one more, I think.
I have to say I love how that hook was shot.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't spelled out like most of the episode. Nothing was spelled out for you, and I like the way it kind of moved through it.
Yeah. It's pretty cryptic, but yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You got to be cryptic when you're talking about the end of an episode.
That's true. Yeah.
Otherwise, that makes us assholes.
Okay, so our movie. Midnight. It's not Express. Special. Mark.
Well, I think it's really important to watch this movie without spoilers. So I think, if I remember correctly, IMDb had a really good non-spoilery synopsis. Okay, that's not exactly it. So what I would say is, father discovers son has superpowers and goes on the run.
Oh.
And that'll tell you as little as possible about it, that you can enjoy it the same way I did, which that was all that I knew when I went in to watch the movie.
I didn't even know that. This is one of the first movies in a very long time that I got to walk in, and all I knew was who wrote it and directed it, and some of the people who were in it. That was it. And I did know the genre. So, and I think I would even I wish I hadn't even known that. I don't know. Who do you want to start talking, Steve?
I think you've started.
Okay.
So
I've started, so I'll finish.
Continue.
So the way this opens is really tense. And it's one of, if not the best usage of soundtrack, of music, to affect me emotionally that I've ever seen. Like, I realized that I had moved, me and my lady Paramore watched this movie together, and we started sitting next to each other in the cinema and ended up probably right next to each other's faces by the time it had ended, because we were both really fucking worried about what was going to happen and to who and how quickly. And I didn't even know about the going on the run thing. So I actually thought that some people who may be protagonists were antagonists. And I like that they're not worried about feeding it to you all at once, you know, over a great period of time. The multiple genres, I think they managed to blend quite well. And it's, I definitely want to at some point have a chat about this movie with spoilers, right? Because the big deals for me in this were the performances,
Right.
and the reasoning why people believe in X, Y, and Z, why people do these things. And every now and then a character will say something that is so perfectly, simply true that I almost wept. Can I give a quote, a non-plot related quote?
Do it.
So, and I'll leave a gap in case we want to remove it. But at one point someone says, I saw the sunrise today. I think I know who I am now. And I just fucking broke. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. Like, it was the level of poetry for me at various points, while still being a thrilling, tense movie. Like, there are scenes in this that are just pure, like, you find out about every character only through their action. Nobody goes, hey, my name is, this is why I am the way that I am. My lady left me and now I'm like that. You don't get that. That doesn't happen. People do things and then you know who they are. It was ahead of me the whole time. This movie was ahead of me the entire time.
That's
with
always
the
nice
movements
when
of the
that
plot.
happens. Because it's rare enough that writing can be so creative that it keeps you interested and guessing. In a way that you don't think that the movie has like jumped the shark and you're like, okay, now they're just trying to screw with you, but it's not to the benefit of the film. So that's nice. It's nice to hear when a film stays ahead of you.
And I think a great example is, do you know when you're watching a movie or TV show and they're in a car and then the camera angle changes and everybody knows about 3 seconds before it happens that they're going to get hit by another car?
Yeah.
So that is basically, they try and lull you and then they try and shock you. There's a couple of moments in this movie where I didn't know the first was happening. And that was amazing. Like, the pacing is just so good. And I was invested so much the whole way through. And the ending, holy shit. There's at least 3 valid and super interesting interpretations of the ending of the movie.
Okay.
I love them all.
But is it one of those frustrating films then that it finishes and you're just like, well, what was that then? Because they haven't...
No, it's not vague.
Oh. Okay.
It's not vague. There are multiple available meanings, which is a thing I know from poetry class. Like, something the poetry strives for too.
Let's talk practicalities then. Is this like Lost in Translation levels of like, what did he say to her? Is it over?
No,
Are they together? No.
It's more that there's images. Well, there's plot stuff as well, but there's even just singular shots.
Okay.
And the way people act makes me like, there's multiple things that could be going on behind people's eyes, you know?
Okay. No,
and it just really involved me.
But I'll take your word for it. I'm glad it wasn't vague.
Has anyone else seen this apart from me and Shaun?
I've seen it.
Right, I want to hear the cynic's view on this film.
I was bored out of my brain watching this piece of shit.
Thought that. You really need to understand hope to watch this film, Mike. I thought that's what you want to say. I didn't want to go after Shaun because I'd say a lot of the same things, but go ahead.
I spent nearly the entire time in this movie feeling sorry for myself because I knew that the Huntsman was on in the next cinema. I knew Charlize Theron was there in 50-foot glory, just like literally 20 feet away from me. And I had to sit and watch this shite. Oh, God.
Was Michael Shannon not good enough? He's usually fairly solid. Like,
well,
he was brilliant.
Was he?
The strange thing about it.
Yeah, really good.
The acting is uniformly wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the acting. They were all spellbinding in their own way.
It wasn't enough to save the film for you, though.
No. The cinematography, again, fantastic. I can't fault it. They really did a good job. The problem was the sheer lack of anything happening. And I was just sitting there like, oh, for God's sake, will somebody please just fucking do something?
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was like...
Was it too talky?
No, it wasn't talky enough.
Oh.
Like all those tense moments Shaun was talking about, I was just like, oh, for Jesus, would you just say what you're thinking?
Is this like a Ryan Reynolds movie, is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, what was that crap one in
No.
Thailand?
No, it's not a Ryan Reynolds movie. It's a Ryan Gosling movie.
Gosling, sorry. Ryan Gosling movie. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
My
that
mistake.
shitty Thailand one where they just...
Or
like,
the River
Only
Runs
God
Through It?
Forgives?
yeah, that's the one I'm thinking.
Okay, it's nowhere near as out there as that.
No, fair point. Go on, Mark.
I want to get in there, Mike, just on what you're talking about, because I felt a little of what you did, I think. So it's not true to say there was nothing happening, because there was something happening all the time. It's just there was two stories in a way. There was the struggle, and then there was why. And the why is very, very terse. Whereas, the actual struggle and what's going on through the movie is very obvious, and it's fairly linear, right? Yeah. But the things that drive it and the people around that and how have been changed and are changing through the movie, that is what you're talking about. They're not telling you what they're thinking. But that was done very deliberately by Jeff Nichols.
Oh, it certainly was. I wouldn't argue it wasn't deliberate. I just didn't like it.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. And you're not the first person, although you are the only reviewer that matters, obviously. But you're not the first reviewer to say such a thing. But a lot of people actually give out. He talked about how he was stripping it back, shooting for Spielberg in the 80s. That kind of style. And a lot of people felt that he stripped it back too far.
I was just going to say that this movie did what Super 8 was trying to do when J.J. Abrams tried to do Spielberg in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. It reminded me of another film that I can't actually mention because it gives away too much, because they actually map each other story beat for beat. So I like this film. Just to get to my own review, I liked it. Like Shaun, I'm a huge fan of David Wingo's score. I've been listening to it since I watched the film. Actually, I have it on Spotify. The piano, it's just really good use of piano to make music.
Yeah, I was going to say, did it play it?
That my ears like, and I was working to it most of today. Actually, it's really good mood, and a score is really good when you know by the sound and how you feel roughly where you were in the movie when that was being played, and I could certainly tell you where this was, where the tension points were, just because of the way I felt listening to the score. So that was really good. My only issue is there were characters, and I'm trying to be really vague because I think to enjoy this you need to know little. But there was a character introduced too late in the story to have an emotional hook with me. And I think that being missed took away from a lot of the poignancy or what the actual message was at the end of the film. And Shaun has said, right, you can take multiple meanings from it. You can. I would have preferred more steering there. I would like them to point me to what the message was, because there was a lot of things happening at once, right? Depending on whose perspective you're looking at it from. And it wasn't a bad ending. I think a little bit more steerage wouldn't have hurt.
I think I know which character you're talking about, a late addition in terms of the runtime of the movie.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is one of the things that anchored me with that character was an incredibly subtle, almost, and like Mike was saying, not spoken about love story. And not between, I think, the characters you'd naturally expect. I saw something in the performances where I was like, holy shit. Like, I can see this person falling for this person.
I know what you're talking about.
And I don't know if it has anything to do with the story. And I don't know if it's going to matter to the plot. I just know that this is happening.
That was that was the acting, like what Mike said. Like the strength was in the cast really in this film in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Oh, so through all the way down the line, Adam Driver, Kirsten Dunst, Michael Shannon. What's the name of that guy who always plays Irish mafia dudes? He was in Black Mirror.
Yes, he looks like Jaws out of James Bond.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
The lead, Michael Shannon.
No. He's thinking of Michael Shannon. I'm
Joel
talking
Edgerton.
About, yes, there you go. Joel Edgerton. He was amazing.
Do you know what I was just thinking as well? Like, isn't Adam Driver such a gomy looking motherfucker?
He fucking is. He looks like a marionette being piloted by a baby.
Yeah, when he came out, I went, I cannot.
Mental image of the year.
Yeah.
When he came out, I couldn't believe again that this is the Sith Lord we're looking at for the next couple of movies.
Do you know, every time I see him in an episode of Girls Now, I like him now. Star Wars has converted me to Adam Driver.
You didn't like him at all previously.
I loathe him as an actor, but I now enjoy watching him in Girls because I know he's the Sith Lord.
I think he's best when he's awkward.
Yeah,
like I'm fine with him in Star Wars. Like I like his performance, and he had the mask, and there's all these things that I think were helping him in his performance.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. Actually, what was it in Inside Llewyn Davis? Mm-hmm. He was brilliant as well.
I have just got that, Steve.
Oh, dude, I can't wait.
I've been waiting to watch it, and then when we talked about it last week again, we were talking about the music films, and I said, you know what? Because like I watched the YouTube video where the Punch Brothers and Marcus Mumford sing the Old Triangle, and I've been singing that, inspired by it.
Yeah.
So I said I must go and watch that movie. So I actually got it this week.
Great.
So I'm gonna hopefully get a look at it at the weekend.
Now it's the music. It's the music that makes it, not necessarily the journey. Let's say. Oh
no, I'm not. I'm completely not worried about that. I want to hear the songs.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think of it now. Yeah.
Getting back to the movie, I had major problems with the family dynamic. It didn't strike me as real at all.
Father-son thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Having raised a kid, it just didn't ring true.
But not that kind of kid. First of all, I want to comment that was the best child actor I've seen in a movie, maybe ever. Definitely in the past couple of years.
Yeah, he wasn't that annoying.
Okay, I think he acted really well, and that's a difficult part. I also think, the dynamic wasn't normal, but I think that there are elements of it that are pure. Now, obviously, I'm not a father, but what I mean, I have a dad. Yeah. I mean, there are elements of it that are pure father-son to me, and it's when you strip away and you really get to the human essence of the thing. Things are weird and strange, which is amazing, because at the start, I thought, this dude had fucking kidnapped this kid.
Right.
Like, it was really... And the fact that both of those things could work. He's scared. He is an incredibly scared father who doesn't know how to help his kid. That played for me very well.
Okay. It to be honest, it didn't work for me. It just felt fake.
And you'd know, because
I wouldn't have called it fake.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like, you can probably identify with this, like, very strongly, as your son has superpowers.
He does. Yeah. He is, in fact, the Messiah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Son of God, of course. Right. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
It's all clear to me now. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I am eagerly waiting for my kid to get superpowers, but I thought that whole... See, this is where stripping it back too much becomes an issue.
Just get a radioactive spider sorted.
That's what I need to do. Because if you tell people so little of what's happening inside their heads, then you leave it open too much for the audience drawing the wrong conclusions. Well, it's not the wrong conclusion, drawing a conclusion you didn't intend. And I think maybe that's what's happened with you, whereas obviously I didn't do that. I went a different direction. I thought that it worked.
I also have serious problems with protagonists who don't check the back seat and don't check their corners. You know, these are basic things that every protagonist should be aware of in a movie. You know.
Yeah, you wouldn't see Jack Bauer not checking his back seat or his corners. To tell you,
fucking right.
I just wanted to ask, had anyone else ever seen another Jeff Nichols movie? This is the fourth time that Jeff Nichols and Michael Shannon have worked together. They're going to be doing a fifth one as well. It very often has something kind of sci-fi and is about a family unit or a father-son relationship. The movie I'm thinking of is Take Shelter, which is a 2008 movie. I think we reviewed it on the podcast. I'm not sure. It's basically it's very similar to a Noah's Ark story, but Michael Shannon just thinks that there's a big fucking tornado coming. And it's just about how that plays out when he starts to try and prepare for it in this small town in America, in the heartland. I would recommend it.
2 more things before I finish hitting on this movie. Number 1, Kirsten Dunst. They did their absolute best to make her as unattractive as possible. They gave her a haircut that totally doesn't suit her.
Did it work?
It actually did work.
Okay.
I was like,
So that's another good thing they did then. Is that what you're telling me?
Wait, what?
no, making
What's
Kirsten
relevant?
Dunst unattractive is not a good thing.
I think it is relevant.
It was the intention, is what I mean.
Shapeless Gansey, her jumper, just does nothing for her. A hairstyle that does nothing for her. The photography was particularly unflattering.
I don't think I've ever heard you make this similar criticism about any men in the films we've seen before.
He doesn't fancy men.
Careful, Mike.
Yeah.
Her sexism sense is tingling.
I do.
When
pay
I was
attention
watching her,
to,
I was
the
thinking,
shooting of male actors as well. I feel it's a very important part of movie making that you make good-looking people look as good as they possibly can.
So
Especially
you're back
Kirsten
to this,
Dunst in this
are
world.
you? Back to this
Really?
kind of review.
we never leave it, Shaun. It's where we live.
But moving on to my last problem with the movie is the ending is dumb. I did not believe that one little bit. In fact, I nearly walked out when the big reveal comes. I was like, Jesus, is this what I waited 2 hours to see? Come on.
Well, if it was the end of the film, it would have been appropriate for you to walk out after that because it was the end of the movie.
I fucking hate you,
Shona.
Shona.
Yeah, Mike. Nicely done, Shona. Nicely done.
Hey, it wasn't Arms Day for
This
me.
week
I'm
on
going to
Is It
punch
a
you.
Bicycle? Mike learns how movies work.
I got a little of that as well, Mike. I got a little of that as well. I was a bit disappointed with the, I suppose, payoff, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I was hoping for something better, to be honest. But,
Yeah, okay.
So who directed this? Was it a woman this time? Or?
Jeff Nichols.
Okay, I wasn't this time.
he wrote it as well.
Do you know, I'm not even taking the bait anymore. I've said my piece this episode.
Okay.
Most of the vitriol is towards Mike. We're going to leave it that way so that I have a few friends left at
Do you
the end
remember-
of the episode.
Do you remember when, before Shona joined the podcast, we used to go, that said girl actress was great looking, and you didn't have to go, the men were good looking too. I miss those days sometimes. I love having Shaun on the podcast, obviously, but having to pretend that we noticed what the fellas look like, it's tiring sometimes.
Especially on the red carpet. It's just...
Speaking of the red carpet,
Yes.
Michael Shannon did an interview on The Guardian where at one point the interviewer goes, I mean, maybe you could say that, the reason you've had the career that you've had is because you don't look like the rest of these Hollywood... And he wrote in the thing, Michael Shannon scowled, and I worried I had just fucking offended this guy. And then Michael Shannon bursts out laughing and goes, yeah, no, you're right, yeah. No, this is great. Well, I mean, it's a visual medium. We're basically just models that talk. If you go to the Oscars, it's kind of like going to the prom. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
And I was just like, that's fucking cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Because every non-actor who works in theatre or film, or at least almost all of them, seem to just be like, yeah, they're props that walk around. Kind of like marionettes piloted by babies. But I just thought it was really interesting that his idea of acting, like he basically just takes down all these things people think about acting as this mystique. Like he's like, I mean, I think there's a problem with thinking of acting as catharsis because you're Bob or Tim and people like you or whatever, and then you go home at the end of the day and you're still a mess of a human being. And I was just like, I love Michael Shannon. This is great.
Yeah.
Actually,
At one point he answered a question about acting by just going, I'm from Kentucky, man. Like that was it. I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
he's kind of a big, intimidating sort of a dude. I wouldn't like to offend him.
Well, he did sort of play that kind of a character in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
And he's really interesting actually in Boardwalk Empire, and I'd nearly go back and watch it for him. He's just brilliant in it.
Yeah,
Brilliant in
yeah.
it. Yeah. He is a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
Big dude.
Yeah. Be polite to big dudes.
He did that. What do you call it? The Hitman.
That's right, the Iceman or whatever.
Was it Iceman? That's what it was. Yeah. And perfect.
He was
for
very
it.
scary.
Yeah. So, Marks, Shaun, go with you first.
This is maybe my favorite movie of this year so far.
Oh, wow.
This is big for me. This was like tears. This was like crying and fear and joy. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Oh.
Cry fear, joy.
Fear, joy.
Mike.
Murder, death, kill. I can't go beyond 5 on this. Very disappointed.
Wow, I'm even more enthusiastic. Mark.
I think it was a misstep towards the end. I agree with some of what Mike said. I liked it a lot more than he did, though. I think the journey is worth the mild destination. So it's a 6 for me.
Right.
Also, listen to the score. The score is really good.
But not as good as Batman vs. Superman.
That's a good review. I'm actually intrigued now. Yeah. I'm going to go see this, I think.
No, it won't be on the list again. We've done it now.
No. I'll do it my
Unless
own
you're
time.
Shaun, where you get to come back miraculously 2 weeks
exactly.
later.
I'll probably
You
do
know that
something
we
like
record these and you can go back to previous episodes and see what it's actually are, right?
How did you figure that out? You've never listened to one.
Boom.
I do know we're recording though.
What is this magical recording you speak of?
Next up, we'll have a look at some previews and Come to a Bicycle near you. Oh, that was a big one. That was a big one.
The Mormons knocked on the door, by the way, during that review. That's why I had to get up.
Oh, you should have brought them in.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I wanted to see the reaction.
Missed opportunity.
I wanted to see the reaction when I went, how's it going, guys? I'm actually recording a podcast right now. And they just kind of went, okay. Okay, sorry. And I was just like, okay, guys, have a good day. And I closed the door thinking, wow, their suits are far too big for them. And then they like walked a few steps and just went, have a good day. Have a good... They're clearly out 2 lads on their conversion tour. Like the classic fucking, let's see if we can stay Mormon out in the world.
They're not Amish, though. Did you think they were like Amish and wouldn't know what a computer was?
No. But I just wanted to see if they would take that as a good enough reason because apparently they wanted to save my soul. So, like, at what point do you stop trying? You know?
We should have brought them in the podcast. I would have enjoyed the shit that
would
Mike
have
would
been
have made
so
of them.
fucking
Like,
funny.
I would have just been ridiculing people for...
Tell them, you should have told them there's some souls in Ireland that in the
need
land of
saving.
saints and sinners that needed saving.
Mind you, they've probably baptized us already, so...
Oh, God.
when
I
did we
had such
become
great
the land of saints
conversations.
and, are we not the land of saints and scholars?
Oh, sinners.
Yeah.
No, we're sinners.
I'm
We
in the
used to
land
be
of
scholars.
sinners.
Yeah, no. No, we changed that years ago. No, I met some very nice Mormons, actually, in my travels, and I've had lunch with them a couple of times, and they gave me the Book of Mormon, and they highlighted some passages that I should read, which are fascinating.
Good musical.
And I actually gave it a good read, the book, just so, I wasn't taking a piss out of them for no reason. But now I've loads of reasons. Good L. Joe and his magic golden plates.
It's funny. You guys might remember one of my favorite authors, Orson Scott Card, up until the movie Ender's Game came out, which was my first time ever on this podcast. And in doing promo for that film, Orson Scott Card showed himself to be a horrible, horrible person. Ooh. But up until that point, I was a huge fan of his works, and he is a Mormon, and he wrote a fictionalized storytelling of the Mormon Bible, basically. Mm-hmm. So
was that the one where Jesus went to North America? No.
And was white.
Was that the one where Jesus went to North
America?
Oh, okay.
The names of it's
that's what they believe.
He goes into jail, and then he's just like, I don't know. It's been a long time since I read it. All right. The point being that I thought I was reading a sci-fi book because that's what Orson Scott Card writes, and instead I was reading like the history of the Mormon faith. Yeah. So when the Mormons come to my door, I'm just like, let's talk about your Bible because I read it by accident.
It's fascinating. It's really it's actually an easy read. I know it's meant to be an additional book to the Bible, but it's way more interesting.
One thing I will say about the story
I have
that
a
Orson
copy of
wrote,
it there if you want to.
Do you? Yeah.
is it's told from the perspective of a woman named Dinah Kirkham. So we had actually a feminist slant on...
No way. Feminist Mormons.
what?
Come on.
No, it's true.
Don't be ridiculous.
This woman, Dinah, talks about, like, why is it that women wear skirts and that when tailoring improved, women did not get the additional benefits of trousers? Is it perchance because women were meant to be... Anyways, this is... Knowing what I know about Orson Scott Card
No,
right
it's
now...
for,
and
it's
him
for
being
ventilation.
and him
Everyone
being
knows that.
So it was nothing to do with like getting the proper starch in your husband's collar. So you looked respectable when he went out to earn food for the family.
We shall see.
Anyway. First preview we looked at was The Family Fang. This looks interesting. It has Christopher Walken, Nicole Kidman, Jason Bateman. Well, at least the
And
cast
Anna
is
Gasteyer.
interesting. Yeah, so this is about the kids of parents who
Two
go
trickster
looking for them when they go missing.
Well, it looks like these parents are kind of tricksters, but it
Artists.
turns out their life is like performance art. And then they go missing, and the whole question becomes, is this performance art, or have they been killed or something?
Yeah.
So we're looking at Nicole Kidman and Jason Bateman's, I don't know, journey through trying to accept if their parents are dead.
And they just go,
and
no,
then
we're going to look for
swinging
them.
back.
And we're not going to stop till we find them. Yeah.
This looks
So
like
the
a bunch
first half
wank.
of the trailer, I was going, this is going to be an exploration of family with the backdrop of art, and oh my God, it sounds terrible. But then the second half of the trailer, where the parents have gone missing and might be dead, I went, this might be all right.
Yeah. Nicole's kind of had a few swings and misses recently, and I hope this is a good
She
one.
hasn't worked a lot recently.
Oh, she has. She has.
That
That's what my
okay.
entire point.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never liked her in anything but the Moulin Rouge, in which she was passable because she fainted all the time.
Oh, come on. Dead
What about
calm.
Far and Away?
Dead calm.
Never
Far
seen
and
it.
Dead
Far and
calm.
away.
Oh, this is
Dead what?
Dead calm.
Never seen it.
Oh, dude.
This is another on the list of movies Shaun should have seen.
Dead calm is up there, dude. Yeah.
I mean, I like that part in Days of Thunder when she calls Tom Cruise Tom, and then they get married.
No, put Dead calm on your list of must-sees.
I don't know. Does it have Nicole Kidman in it? Because that's not really going to convince me.
No, really.
She looks good in this, though. I'm actually interested in this movie, just because it seems so weird. I love this navel gazing shit. I'm also wondering if there's a love story between the brother and the sister.
Yeah, that kind of intrigued me a bit.
Shaun, I will put it to you that Nicole Kidman was good in The Golden Compass.
Oh yeah, sure. I've seen The Golden Compass. She was good in that
Yeah.
as a
a
villain.
baddie.
Sure.
Yeah, she suited it. That's
Yeah.
all. That's my only point. This trailer looks.
So
fine.
she's not entirely without talent. Is basically the
But she doesn't get me
takeaway from this
She
exchange.
doesn't get me going.
What was the one with Tom and herself where he went to that sex party?
Eyes wide shut.
Yeah, that was good. She was good in that too.
No, that
Oh,
was
I
weird.
don't know. That was awful long.
It
Haven't
was.
seen it.
With very
I
little
watched the
nakedness.
Sex
I'm
Bits
talking
when I
about
was
her
younger, so it's
performance.
not up to date.
Next one we looked at was Our Kind of Traitor.
This looks good.
A couple find themselves lured into a Russian oligarch. Oligarch.
Oligarch.
Plans to defect and are soon positioned between the Russian mafia and the British Secret Service, neither of whom they can trust.
Dun, dun, dun,
This
dun, dun,
stars
dun,
Ewan
dun,
McGregor, Damian Lewis, and Sten Sarsgaard.
Yeah,
Stellan,
it looks
sorry.
good.
Does, doesn't it?
I love all
Yeah.
this spy crap. Yeah.
Cool, because that's part of the trailer is that is the credibility of this movie because it comes from like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. What were the other films?
And the
or
man
other
with
books?
the-
Oh, it's John le Carré, of course.
Most Wanted Man.
That's it. So we have like there's a a canon of spy films, books that this is based on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
So if you liked
It-
those, you
good.
might like this.
loved those. So yeah.
It looks boring. I think it's going to be one of those movies that has 3
I don't know.
shootouts because it's not about that. It's a drama.
It is.
So I'm really worried that people are going to go see it thinking it's one thing, but then it's a different thing. Also, prediction: Damian Lewis is a bad guy. I'll put money on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Speaking of which, anyone still watching Billions?
No, listen. Billions is coming to Sky Atlantic on May 14th, so I haven't started it yet, but I will be starting it next month.
Oh.
And because I saw an ad for it on TV, and you see Damian Lewis, who I've liked since Homeland, and I'm like, all right. And then there's what's his name from that movie about wine?
Paul Giamatti from
Paul
Sideways,
Giamatti, of
2003.
course, that's it. And I was like, oh, this looks good. Oh, this reminds me of that show that Shaun was talking about, Billions. Oh my God, this is the trailer for Billions. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh.
We've reviewed it, you know.
I know. Shaun has sold me on this show. I'm so excited.
No, you're going to have to watch this in your own time, is what I'm saying. You ain't getting paid for this one.
I haven't watched this since the Led Zeppelin episode. The Zepplisode.
Yeah, I remember you were saying you kind of went off it, but I'm looking forward to the first episode anyway.
Okay.
The Panic Room was a pretty good Nicole Kidman film.
That wasn't Nicole Kidman. That was Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
And Kristen Stewart. And Forrest Whitaker.
Sorry, Mark.
She was Stephen's girlfriend on the phone in the Panic Room.
Oh,
Seems like some people walked into my trap.
I'll be honest. A very, not very memorable performance. I'll say that much.
Seems like I remembered it with no help on the internet whatsoever.
The last one we looked at was Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Oh, how cool is this trailer? Oh my God.
Wait, so is this the next?
The
Star
next
Wars
one's
movie?
December.
No.
This is an
It's a
intermission.
mid-quill.
Oh, this is a Star Wars story, not the continuing
They're
Star
doing
Wars story.
standalone
I'm really
Star Wars
confused.
films
It's
on
in
the
the
off
universe
years
of
from the
Star
main
Wars.
movies.
Yeah, okay. But this isn't the next one after the
No.
Force Awakens.
No.
They're
Different
doing
story.
standalone films on the years between the big movies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. They should have called this episode nothing because it's not to do with the other ones.
Well, they
Well,
did.
it
They
is
called
to
it
do with
Rogue
it.
One,
Yeah.
a Star
Because
Wars
they're
story.
stealing the plans for the Death Star.
Oh. And do you remember
Which
in
may or
the-
may not work out, we don't know.
Who knows? Maybe some other dudes get him, like later, by hacking. Maybe
But
they
it
all
looks
die.
great. There was so many moments in the trailer. It looks great. I can't wait for it. And in the books, in the extended Star Wars universe, the Rogue stories, the Rogue novels, were always the worst. There was
Oh, were
never
they?
any Jedi stuff. It would be, oh, this is a really tight corner. Oh, I made it. Oh, there's an even tighter corner. I made it.
So,
Is that TIE fighter still on my tail? I better try another tight corner. Oh, this is so tight.
so
Got a bad
I
feeling
think-
about this. Yeah.
I think that they're saving it for the next trailer, but the bad guy in this movie is Darth Vader.
Oh, no way.
Okay.
No way.
They're trying to steal the plans for the Death Star.
Of course.
Makes sense, like.
Of course.
Who would be protecting those plans?
Vader was project manager on that, wasn't he? Till it started to fall behind.
I think so. Yeah. He didn't have his stuff up to code. Obviously his risk assessment chart was a bit off with his made up numbers.
That's
Bit
right.
like
I'll
your
get back to you all
spreadsheet.
guys on risk assessment some other time.
Yeah, exactly.
Great quote. I am a rebel. I rebel. It's a great quote.
That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Good
yeah.
shit.
Is this not a rebellion? Yep. Class. Yep.
Capes everywhere.
Yeah. Mark, had we anything come into the mailbag this week?
Quite enough in the mailbag this week. I do have two gems I thought I would share with us. This is from Josh. Shaun hasn't seen a lot of movies he really should due to his youngness. I think he needs to start with Clockwork Orange. What do the rest of the bicycle crew think?
Well, we mentioned Dead Calm earlier.
He absolutely should never watch The Clockwork Orange. That is an
One
abomination
movie
of a
each.
movie.
Go.
Is that not a classic though, Mike?
It's a classic novel, absolutely mangled in movie form.
I remember going to a rave once and seeing pictures of me at the rave after and realizing I spent the whole night walking around with a guy dressed as the guy from Clockwork Orange and didn't notice it at the time.
Wow, what a night.
Some good drugs you were on.
Yeah. Serious.
Okay, so one each, I think.
Sean, you've
we
seen
should
Platoon,
prob-
right?
I have not seen Platoon.
I think we'll all agree. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean should fucking watch Platoon.
You should watch Platoon and talk about it next week. But I do have one to add to that. You've never seen The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, unless I was scared by it from you and Dara watching it as a child, I don't think so. I have vague memories of Arnie in a futuristic place where he was in
Did
danger.
a few of those. I think The Running Man should be part of your movie education.
Interesting.
If I was to pick one, though,
Uh-huh.
like we were talking about earlier, because, you know, it's what we're talking about, Dead Calm, I think it's
It's a
one
real
of
good
those.
movie.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cape Fear would be better though.
But that's also, it's quite similar, yeah.
Teach him all about
it's better.
pain, suffering, and loss.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go classic. Yeah. Make the bastard watch Casablanca.
Casablanca's
I haven't seen Casablanca.
Have
What?
you not? What?
The fuck is wrong with you?
Oh, there's your credentials down the drain, right there. Mark,
I'm
podcast
working-
reviewer,
I'm-
hasn't seen Casablanca.
I'm working with fucking amateurs here. Jesus Christ.
Okay, this email got selected simply because of the way he signed off. It's from Disgruntled in Wexford. Very short now, pay attention. Mike, invisibility, flight, or time travel?
I think it's going to have to be time travel, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I could probably go forward in the future to get invisibility and flight and then bring it back to now.
Jetpacks, baby.
Yeah.
That's a bit like wishing for more wishes, though.
Which is the best wish.
Like, what about if it's a hard choice? Like, you cannot do that. You can't go forward and get a jetpack or get a Predator cloaking device or something. One and that's it.
Yeah. I'd still have to go with the time travel because it's just, there's so many possibilities for fuck-ups.
You like history
When I was
Yeah.
selecting this, that was not what I expected you to pick. You realize that with time travel, you couldn't stand in girls' locker rooms and be undetected.
Well, I could, because then I just blinked to the next time zone before the police got to me.
God, you just reminded me. Remember Space Cop this week?
Oh,
The time travel thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the synopsis being Space Cop is a story of a cop from the future of space who travels back in time to the present and has teamed up with a cop from the past who's unfrozen in the present. Together they must defeat evil aliens with a sinister plan. I think it's
we gotta
brilliant.
watch-
Can't wait.
It
I
was
just
you,
think it's
Steve.
such a brilliant synopsis, though. Yeah.
And I
So
think
that's
if
it
you're
from the mailbag this week. Guys, keep the mails coming. I'm having a lot of fun reading them. And I'll be picking out a couple every week, but I do read them all. So podcast at isitabicycle.com.
Right. We'll leave it there. Okay.
Yes.
So from Mike, Mark, Steve, Shaun and Shona, stay classy.